Kim Dae-Jung, a champion of democracy and human rights, survived 5 attempts on his life, making no compromise on justice. A great political leader, Kim Dae-Jung realized a peaceful power transition for the first time in Korea, overcoming all persecutions and ordeals. Kim Dae-Jung, an economic president, saved the national economy from bankruptcy to bring Korea to one of the top 10 economies in the world. Kim Dae-Jung, a unification president, thawed the hostility between the North and South through his Sunshine Policy, holding the first ever inter-Korean summit, opening an era of peace on the peninsula. Kim Dae-Jung, a leader for peace, while pursuing inter-Korean reconciliation, tirelessly promoted democracy, human rights, and peace in Asia and beyond. He inspired the world and received the Nobel Peace Prize. Kim Dae-Jung, a saint-like human, forgave and reconciled with those who tried to take his life. Kim Dae-Jung was born on Haoi Island in South Cholla Province on January 6, 1924, as the second son of an ordinary farmer. Korea had lost its sovereignty and its land to the Japanese colonialists. However, a wide open sea off the small island inspired the young Kim Dae-Jung to dream about his future and an unknown world. When he was in the 4th grade in school, his family moved to Mokpo City. In 1943, he graduated from Mokpo Commercial High School as the top student in his class. He started working at a maritime transport company, embarking on a business career. Later, he was recognized as a successful businessman in the region. The young Kim Dae-Jung entered politics. He made the decision after the tragedy of the Korean War that convinced him that the country should not be united by war, and after witnessing the abuses and corruption under Syngman Rhee's dictatorship. He could not shut his eyes to the sufferings of innocent people. However, politics led him to endless hardships and ordeals. He lost 3 general elections in a row. He was finally elected to the 5th National Assembly in Inje, Gangwon Province in 1961. 3 days later, a military coup closed the National Assembly before Kim was sworn in. He was immediately placed under house arrest. Everything looked hopeless, yet he was blessed to meet Lee Hee-ho, his lifetime companion at the time. In 1963, Kim Dae-Jung was elected again to the 6th National Assembly from Mokpo. He became a legendary performer in the National Assembly. He was the most frequent visitor to the Library of the National Assembly, where he studied national affairs persistently. He proposed policies based on his political conviction and philosophy. In 1970, Kim Dae-Jung was nominated as presidential candidate of the opposition New Democratic Party. He was in his 40s. He was defeated by the candidate of the ruling party, Park Chung-hee. Kim Dae-Jung carried 46% of the vote. Since that time, Kim Dae-Jung treaded a thorny path of life. President Park Chung-hee brutally suppressed Kim Dae-Jung. Kim Dae-Jung has faced 5 attempts on his life. In 1950, he was captured by the communists, but he escaped from the last moment of execution. When he was on a campaign tour in 1971, his car was hit by a mysterious vehicle, which almost killed him. When Kim Dae-Jung was kidnapped by KCIA agents in Tokyo in 1973, he encountered 2 other critical moments of death. First, his kidnappers tried to cut him into pieces at the Grand Palace Hotel. On the second occasion, they tried to drown him in the sea. He was rescued at the last moment. In 1980, he was sentenced to death by a military tribunal on false charges. Despite continued threats and conciliatory approaches from the military, Kim Dae-Jung did not compromise his principle of justice. Instead, he fought back, upholding his belief in democracy, human rights, and peaceful reunification. He was imprisoned, he was forced to leave the country in exile, and he was placed under house arrests for a decade. Death chased him all the time. However, he kept his conviction to the last. More importantly, he emphasized the value of forgiveness and reconciliation. After he was sentenced to death, he wrote to his son, "Only the strong and benevolent can forgive and love." Kim Dae-Jung lived the life of the strong who could forgive and love. He was like a saint of forgiveness and reconciliation. After failures in the 13th and the 14th presidential elections, he was finally elected the 15th president of Korea, achieving the first peaceful power transfer in the modern history of Korea. His victory was a victory of democracy and of the people. President Kim Dae-Jung worked passionately to develop democracy, market economy, and productive welfare. He worked restlessly even before his inauguration, as Korea was facing a national bankruptcy in a foreign exchange crisis. To bring the collapsed economy back on track, the president pushed for a grand compromise among labor, business, and government. He led a gold collection campaign to help the government exchange reserve. The people actively responded to the participation, and nations such as the US, Germany, Britain, France, and Japan were captivated by Korea's spirit as they improved investment relations. He also carried out reforms in finance, business, government, and labor. Thanks to his efforts, Korea was able to pay back the IMF loan 3 years in advance of the due date. Under his leadership, Korea became one of the top 10 economic powers of the world. The Kim Dae-Jung government strengthened the institutions of democracy and human rights. His government honored and rewarded the victims in the struggle of democratization. A National Committee for Human Rights was established to enhance the people's rights. And it also focused its efforts on enhancing women's rights by establishing the Ministry of Gender Equality. In addition, the administration worked hard to ensure the rights of youth and persons with disability, along with full social participation and equality. He set up a broadcasting committee to promote the freedom of the press. The Kim Dae-Jung government guaranteed the rights of labor movement, assembly, and association. In particular, President Kim promoted productive welfare for Social Security based on human rights. President Kim said, "None of our people should be hungry, not be going to school, and not go to the hospital." President Kim pursued information even during the economic crisis to build an advanced IT industry in Korea. He laid a solid foundation for the knowledge-based economy of the 21st century. With an aim to support the alienated and underserved, the government of the people adopted productive welfare policies centered on national basic livelihood security. This system has laid the groundwork for Korea to become a welfare country. President Kim Dae-Jung elevated the Education Ministry to be headed by a Deputy Prime Minister, renaming it as the Ministry of Education and Human Resources. He supported creative activities in culture and arts based on his policy of support without intervention. This policy led to a new trend of the wave of Korea in the international entertainment world. It was a great success. Under Kim's leadership, Korea successfully held the 2002 World Cup and celebrated an enhanced prestige of the Republic of Korea in the world. President Kim Dae-Jung consistently carried out his sunshine policy. His patient policy gradually removed hatred between the North and South and built mutual trust. The president was able to hold the historic Inter-Korean Summit in June 2000 for the first time in 55 years after national division. The summit laid down the three principles towards Korean unification: peaceful coexistence, peaceful exchange, and peaceful unification. The North and the South were reconnected by sea, sky, and land. Meetings between the separated families of the two sides were held on a regular basis. The opening of the Mount Kumgang tourism and the construction of the Kaesong Industrial Complex caught the eyes of the world. All these dynamic changes in Korea deepened international understanding of the imperatives for Korean unification. In December 2000, President Kim Dae-Jung received a Nobel Peace Prize in recognition of his lifetime commitment to inter-Korean reconciliation and cooperation, and for democracy and human rights in Korea and Asia. His award provided a turning point for Korea to rise to the center of the international arena. Under the watchful eyes of the international community, President Kim elevated Korea's status as a giving nation, as a nation of amnesty. After retirement, Kim continued to work tirelessly. He established the Kim Dae-Jung Presidential Library of Yonsei University and Kim Dae-Jung Peace Center to continue his devotion to democracy, peace, and poverty eradication. He visited many universities to deliver lectures and gave numerous interviews with the global media. His work was focused on the promotion of peace on the Korean Peninsula, the sustained development of the spirits of the June 15th Inter-Korean Joint Declaration, and the resolution of North Korean nuclear issues. He worked for peace in Northeast Asia and the world. In his 80s, he received kidney dialysis treatment 3 times a week, but his age and weak health did not stop him from working for his cause during the last 7 years of his life. President Kim Dae-Jung died on August 18, 2009 at 1:14 p.m. The nation of Korea, as well as the world, were deeply saddened to lose such an extraordinary leader of democracy and of peace. Newsweek magazine even recognized President Kim Dae-Jung as one of the transformers of the world who renewed Korea and the world in our times, to be remembered forever within the pages of mankind's history. He was a brave man of love and hope. He believed in people and history, and never gave in to the pressures outside. He was a great mind who taught us about love and about peace. He will be remembered for his great legacies of history forever. He left a will of forgiveness, reconciliation, love, and peace. His funeral was held amid international condolences. He now rests at Seoul National Cemetery. President Kim Dae-Jung has passed away. However, his lifetime devotion to democracy, human rights, peace, and human dignity remains very much alive in the memory of our hearts. He remains as a beacon of hope for all of us, shining its lessons of love and peace for all to see, brightening our hopes and our futures.